Let's dive in though and see what we've learned.
I miss doing the Clint Eastwood eyebrow. I got nothing for that.
I mean, you can. I'm not going to stop you. It may not make as much sense with the more you know sounder, but what makes sense anymore? All right. As we do each and every week, we look back at the weekend that was in the world of football. And we find out what we learned this past weekend. So, Matt, what did you learn this past weekend?
More and more convincingly, the New York Football Giants and the Dallas Cowboys are trying to outgun themselves for who has the dumbest front office in the NFC East. And I don't know, Jim, it's a lot closer than you might think.
Are you sure?
One of them gave Daniel Jones a lot of money.
And then let Saquon
One of them
Barkley
doesn't
walk
know which way
for
the
a lot
sun shines
less.
from.
That's just him being senile.
Well, I think. Well, is the guy who's there the GM of the Giants, was he the one that signed Jones to that long contract? Because I feel like this guy's newish.
I'll look. Hold on. You guys keep talking.
Yeah, because
the thing that Eagles Jaworski keeps telling me, despite his Cowboy fanhood, is that Brian Daboll was not the quarterback. Or check that, Brian Daboll didn't want Dimes as the quarterback. Or didn't. It's not that he didn't want him. It's that he keeps saying he wasn't the coach that picked him.
Joe Schoen became the general manager in 2022.
Okay,
so probably around that time frame.
Yeah,
right?
see, I guess it depends, because I think Dimes signed the contract in 22, so I guess it's a matter of when that happened.
Stepped into that role. If that was his first act as GM,
whoops.
How's he still there?
And then to follow it up with a Hard Knocks appearance where you double and triple down on, we don't really need Saquon Barkley, despite your owner saying, we should probably re-sign this guy, right? And you're like, nah.
Yeah,
I should.
I mean, I did watch the Hard Knocks, and part of me also thinks that because obviously there's only so much even in that we do see. Like, there's part of me that watched that and thought, like, the writing was on he knew Barkley was going. Like,
Daniel Jones signed his 4-year, $160 million contract extension with the Giants on March 7th, 2023.
Okay, so is that right after his? Well, again, not to defend it, I feel like his rookie is that first year he was better than he's been since then. I'll at least say that. Again,
he's a quarterback from Duke.
Not a great.
Was he doing better, or was Saquon making him look good? Let's remember, gentlemen, the strength of Brian Daboll's Coach of the Year award is having an overall offensive strategy of giving the ball to Saquon. Yes, allegedly. Thank you, Jim.
Absolutely.
That's up there with Cam Cameron getting the Coach of the Year with the Chargers back when they were still in San Diego, with an offensive strategy of every play, give the ball to LaDainian Tomlinson, and then every third play, maybe Philly Rivers throws it a bit.
Hey, Ernest, you're here now. How do you feel about the Giants?
Okay, first of all, that's the way we know Ernest isn't here. You're asking him about the Giants. Automatically, we know you're faking.
Well, I mean, you can ask him about it. I don't know why a non-Giants fan would answer the question.
The Chiefs are really good. Patrick Mahomes is great. Lamar Jackson is a quarterback. Go Patriots. Have a good show, guys. See you next week.
Optics, vibes.
No matter.
Thanks for coming in.
Something press conference.
Championship pedigree.
Oh my god. Oh, it's real good.
He didn't say the Heat in any of that, because we know he wouldn't.
He never does. Go Heat, bitch.
Go Heat, bitch.
I always have to follow it up. Yeah, I mean, when my front office is in that conversation, it sucks. It just sucks.
Well, this is how we got to the NFC East power vacuum theory I developed, Jim.
You can get that shirt over on our T Public store as well.
Bing bong.
Spelling that, damn it.
There you go. All right, student of the game, Kyle Nash. What did you learn this past weekend?
You know, I know Mike's going to get mad at me for this, but I'm sorry. It's just the facts of the case. Russell Carrington Wilson, not dead. I'm
Not
sorry.
dead.
I'm not mad at you for thinking that he's not dead because you're right. He isn't dead.
Well, but you were the one throwing machine gun fire and even hinting that he might be better than Justin Fields, right? And of course, I'm hyperbole here, buddy. But you know, why aren't we critical of Russell Wilson and all this? These were questions you asked.
Absolutely.
And well, and listen, I want to give a butt ton of credit to George Pickens because listen, once a game that Humpy Bumpy comes up with a highlight worthy play. It's goddamn beautiful to watch, and it's offense, and it's passing, and it's non-Ben Roethlisberger, and it's the Steelers. All things that should not be together in the sentence. Yet, nonetheless, this is the most Steeler-looking team we've seen since, goodness, before Le'Veon Bell, right?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
I mean, this team's scary, and you know, I'll put it this way: I believe them playing the Red Tails is a factor in the upcoming game between the Red Tails and the Eagles here on a Thursday night. I don't know that we're picking that tonight, but we will be picking on the Student of the Game podcast. So more on that later.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting one on Thursday. Eagles had a little bit of an easier road this past Sunday than Washington did. But all right, Mikey B, what did you learn this past weekend?
What I learned this past weekend is very simple. It doesn't matter if Jared Goff throws 1 pick, 2 pick, red pick, blue pick.
Nice.
The Lions find a way to win football games. Games are not supposed to. I don't get it. The defense, we all said, was in shambles now that Aiden Hutchinson is done.
Wow.
The defense saved their ass.
That is a great point.
Did.
At the end of the day, I don't necessarily know if this is a Lions now feel like one of the most complete teams in the National Football League, or if this is a question of what is going on in Houston. I don't. So I guess I leave it at this point. The Detroit Lions are finding ways to win games that people probably left them for dead during a lot. Especially this past week, Jared Goff did not look great, and they still somehow found a way to win a football game. Kudos to Man Campbell for doing something at the half to get those guys to figure out something, and Bates for drilling 3 field goals, I think, of over 50 yards. Shouts.
I mean, listen, that's a great take. And by the way, I would even add the lesson learned if you hadn't listened to my warnings regarding the Houston Texans and their lack of discipline, as they say on South Park, right? Boy, you learned it that night, didn't you? You know.
Yeah, and I think the thing for, I mean, I guess the fortunate thing for the Texans is you're in a division that you know, this skid hasn't really hurt you.
Not great, Bob.
Yeah, the division
not great, Bob.
Not exactly the best
It
in
sucks,
the National Football League.
Can the Bengals request a trade to that division, because we'd still have a shot at winning the division?
More competitive than the AFC East. But yeah, you know, like, so the Texans, while concerns for the long term as we look down towards the rest of the season, yeah, the division's still in hand, but you got to wonder, with injuries mounting now, Nico Collins should hopefully be returning. I think a couple guys on defense are close to getting healthy. So you wonder if you can start to put those pieces back together. But there was certainly frustration with it, like looking at the two sidelines, and when Sunday night and Monday night, teams just love trading away turnovers with each other. But when you looked at, you know, the Lions turning the ball over as much as they did, and then contrast that with the Texans doing it the way they did, and the two sidelines couldn't have looked much different. Now, of course, the Lions, you know, 1 loss on the year and kind of rolling here a bit, but like there was never any panic. And then once the lead started to slip for Houston, it just looked like that you could just tell they were never going to get it back. Like it was just like they were just in danger that whole time. And yeah, you gotta wonder. Not that they're going to lose the division, because I mean, I haven't looked at theirs versus the Colts schedule. I don't think they're in much danger there.
They are not.
But you gotta think once you get into the postseason, then what? I don't, I don't know what that's going to look like for them.
I mean, the Colts do have a lighter schedule now that I'm looking at, besides the Lions.
But what I'm saying isn't so much their schedule, Matt, is just they can lose the Titans. Yeah, exactly.
That's fair.
So, am I the only one that every time Jim said I'm in danger, just thought of Ralph Wiggum sitting on the bus? I'm in danger.
I had actually Will Robinson, danger. But yeah, either apply here.
I like it. I like it. I like the spirit of that, for sure. But yeah, and sorry, Kyle, to go back to your point. Yeah, the Steelers definitely, because I think there was some people that weren't questioning the decision to change to Russell Wilson, more so the timing of it coming a week before before their bye week at that point. And I think we kind of looked at it and went, well, this is kind of your week to do it. Yeah, you have an easy game going into the bye, and it obviously has looked like by far the smartest decision that team has made this year. Because I mean, I was one of those people that did kind of count Russell Wilson out and was like, I think this dude's pretty toast, and he's clearly not. So good on him and good on Pittsburgh.
I mean, is this the part where we hit the Lucifer Morning Star, or should we do that later? I'm just asking.
I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen.
I mean, like I said, I've never really been afraid to admit that I'm wrong here. So,
interesting. They have quite a gaunt. I mean, they do play the Browns twice, but they have the Ravens, Bengals twice on their schedule, plus the Chiefs and the Eagles. So really show us what Pittsburgh is these next few weeks again, aside from the Browns, who are, I mean, wild card contenders.
Their offense is a lot more effective with Jameis Winston than Deshaun Watson.
Well, sure.
And it's a divisional game. As someone who's not
here,
like
because we didn't get 2020 Deshaun Watson.
Thank God.
They're a playoff team, guys. That's enough of that.
Yeah, come on now. So mine, I'm trying to debate which of the two, because I have two here, one in college, one in the NFL. Let's go.
I would say just rip them both since Ernest isn't here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm more than happy to disclose why I'm not doing my college one, because I know we're going to talk a lot about it. Basically, my defense for not saying college in this part is more on that later. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, so I'll start in the NFL. And it's we never like to admit when EJ could potentially be right. Now he went super hot take-ish in our NFL preview, but in hindsight, he may not actually be that wrong on this one. The LA Chargers might actually make the playoffs this year. They are currently, I mean, they really do control their own fate. They're currently sitting in the number 2 wild card spot. Now the next month is their toughest stretch. Like, we're gonna find out if 6-3 is actually 6-3, because they have Bengals, Ravens, Falcons, Chiefs, Bucks over the next 5. So that's a pretty grueling stretch. They do have the advantage. They're 1 game ahead of Denver, who's behind them. They still have to play Denver again. They finished the year Denver, New England, and Las Vegas. So if they can get through the next 5, I say if they get through the next 5, even 3-2, potentially even 2-3, depending what they do in that Broncos game, like this team is very much alive for a playoff spot, and it's a credit, especially when you're looking at the fact that they've played the Chiefs already once. They haven't given up more than 20 points all year. And that's a credit to Jesse Minter and that defense.
I before we start giving EJ too much credit, keep in mind he did that without the hindsight of Joe Burrow being hurt and a lot of other teams struggling that
sure
that we did not expect to be. And he's gonna be like, oh yeah, this is so smart. No, it means your analysis was that bad that the football gods gave you that much fucking help. Okay, let's be clear about that.
Oh, sure. It was.
Don't-
I love Jim Harbaugh. I'm going to make a hot take.
Don't count out Joey just yet.
No,
Doing
no.
that, are you? We're not doing this. Are
We're not doing what?
You're not going to go. You're not going to do your best EJ Christian take here and then try to tell me they're a playoff threat again. You're not going to do that.
I'm saying that they're a game out of a playoff spot, and the only team ahead of them is Denver, and they play them in Week 17.
You are going to do this. Oh,
I'm sorry. Hold on. I don't want to derail this, so I will table this because we're going to talk Chargers Bengals.
no, I know. I'm
Another
just surprised you're turning face. That's all. We can do it later. It's fine.
If there's another team in the docket that controls their own destiny in the AFC, it's the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
Because
So
of who they have on the slate. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm just annoyed because I had to do that this afternoon on the Student of the Game Report on the Earnestly Speaking podcast with EJ already, and before he decided to go to the MASH unit and miss tonight's episode. So you'll forgive me if this is an arduous take.
but
Ernest, take
so
your team. Take my team name out your mouth.
I'll defend Mike. I'll defend Mike to a point, and it's not just because
Homer.
But it helps.
They're one game behind Denver for the 7 spot.
Okay.
They do play again, like you said, they do play each other in Week 17. Cincinnati plays
2 Steeler games, the Titans, the Chargers, and 2 other cupcakes. I think the Giants and
Cowboys
somebody
and
Dallas.
Browns.
Dallas.
Cowboys and
Browns,
Browns.
that's what it is. Yeah.
So there's 2 definite wins.
You could argue.
There's a possibility for a win here. There's a possibility you can split the Steelers. And the Denver game is certainly in play. So like there are wins there for Denver. They have Falcons, Raiders, Browns, Colts, Chargers, Bengals, Chiefs. I'd say similar roads.
Though in Week 18, where they may not be playing starters, so let's keep that 100.
Fair. Also depends what happens in the Chiefs Bills game this weekend.
Also,
those 2 teams could be very much live, just competing, not competing with their divisions by that point, competing with each other.
right. Well, and to your point, in Week 18, they could be in a position, depending on how they finish out, either team where both they're locked at 1 and 2, and the real competition might be for 3 and 4. But then again, if the Bills and Chiefs are locked at 1 and 2, I don't see a scenario where the Texans are going to fight for 3 either. So we may be pretty locked up on Week 18. It might be pretty damn boring.
And then Indy, who's currently the team between Denver and Cincy right now, has Jets, Lions, Patriots, Broncos, Titans, Giants, Jags. So relatively easy road for Indy, but
they suck.
Right. I don't know. Besides being not good, I don't know what the Colts are. So, it's certainly possible, but
I mean,
don't want,
0.0% chance of winning the division, but damn, they can still make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Man, listen, we weren't ever accusing you of saying that. You're not that big a homer.
Yeah, playoffs.
I'm a
playoffs
realist,
don't play.
unlike Ernest.
Well, right. Well, we all know that.
I mean, I'm
Bengals-
sure he thinks the Browns still have a chance.
Bengals plus 6.5 looks real good, Ernest.
Oh my God.
Fuck off.
Oh, brutal stuff.
Now you know why I always tell him to shut up about the Eagles.
Yeah. He doesn't understand the power that he actually holds.
No, because he says it, and then 2 plays later, the guy who hasn't fumbled in 8 weeks fumbles.
they know. They somehow know.
It really is a sick kind of weird magic.
My advice to you then, Mikey Byrne, not that I normally advise this of any production that I'm involved with, but I think you should live in the world of Schrodinger's cat and not listen to this week's edition of the Student of the Game Report, nor the Student of the Game podcast, which is simulcasting the Student of the Game Report, by the way. Because he definitely says some things that will compromise the superstition of your Bengals this week.
All right, so note to self: Trey Hendrickson's going to get a concussion.
Oh, he didn't even bring Trey up. Oh, now what have you done? Go, Bird.
Mike Gesicki's going to pull his hamstring.
That's so bad.
Joe Burrow's going to get like liquid diarrhea and miss 2 games because he shit himself. All right,
I thought he already had that.
No, that was a wrist.
Oh, my bad.
Is there other kind of diarrhea than liquid? Maybe we don't want to. Maybe we don't want to answer
magma diarrhea.
Maybe we don't want to answer that question.
No.
I'm not.
I like
sure.
you.
I'll just. I think we'll avoid that one.
Don't do meth.
My other one, and it'll kind of tie to, and it's also to bridge a little bit of the time till I can get the graphic of the playoff rankings, and then we can go into that as well.
Nice.
But with the results of this past weekend in college football, the among other division or among other conferences, but the SEC championship game picture is still cloudy as hell. And is all of a sudden a lot more live and active with the additional loss by Georgia this past weekend. So currently, if this season was ending today, it would be Tennessee, Texas A&M in the SEC title game. Texas in 3rd place, Georgia 4th place, Ole Miss now again with that win over Georgia, kind of back in the mix as well. And then you get into Alabama, Missouri, LSU, teams that would need absolute miracles at this point. But, I know Texas and Texas A&M still play each other at the end of the year. Tennessee and Georgia play this weekend. More on that in a couple of minutes. But yeah, it's wild. I mean, there was a lot of shakeup across college football, but in the SEC, it really felt just absolutely huge with the loss by Georgia. Felt like they were kind of put themselves in the driver's seat with that win over Texas the other week. And again, I think kind of the lesson, and maybe it's the bigger what have we learned or continuing to learn in college football this year is each week is going to kind of keep us guessing. You like the I think Dan Patrick said it on Monday that it's just kind of this situation of like there's a lot of good teams, there's a few really good teams. Like I don't know if there is a great team this year, and we're kind of seeing that play out in real time each week.
Yeah, I mean that's the main reason Oregon has a fighting chance. There is no great team this year.
Is that kind of what makes it fun a little bit? Like that we're not sitting here going, I know that X and Y are going to be in the championship when it's all said and done.
I mean, I don't know about knowing a team's in the championship is one thing. Seeing a conference that was once much better than what we're seeing in the Big Ten right now. Like, I listen, I had been critical in the past of the Big Ten, and then when the playoffs started, what was it? Carnell Jones, Urban Meyer, and Ohio State did what they did and won that playoff. Nick Saban got hot, all that. The Big Ten was a tougher conference then. Now, Ohio State's been declining for some time. With respect to you, Jim, Michigan isn't what it was with Harbaugh there. Wisconsin and Golden Gophers and that grouping below there continue to show that they're overrated as hell. So I think there's a lot of that. But see, here's the thing. There's so much delusion with this good team theory that even the ACC and the bias there isn't really necessarily taking it over, right? Sure, Clemson's way overrated just like SMU is, but they're not a threat to – I mean, are they really a threat? They may only have one playoff team in when everything's said and done, right, Jim? So I don't know, man. It's pretty crazy. But yeah.
Right. Yeah, like that's really, because I think that was kind of the question going into this year with the college football playoff expanding to 12. And, as we've now gotten further into the now that we've gotten further into like the transfer portal era and stuff like that, is we're kind of seeing this level. And I also don't know too if there is as much importance on every single game, because as you can see, in a expanded field, you don't necessarily have to be perfect each and every week.
Correct.
Like it's not a situation where dear God, we lost, October 5th, our season is over. Like now it's like, okay, I lost October 5th. I fell to, 15th in the AP, I'm still alive because we have 3 weeks until the first field of 12 comes out.
But the problem is with that sentiment, Jim, is now we're going back to over rewarding undefeated teams with absolute garbage ass schedules, right? Indiana, for example, the worst and most egregious trash I've seen. They've got nothing to show for what they've done. And if they go in and sneak in and beat in Ohio State, what's going to happen? They're going to get ranked even higher when they shouldn't, and Ohio State's still going to be in the playoff. Who loses? America, right? Don't get me started with SMU, who has a bunch of oil money financing their rosters, right? They haven't played anybody either. Just look at their schedule. It's awful. But Kyle, what about Boise State? Hey, at least at one point they played to the alleged number one team and only lost by 3. At least they have a quality loss, as the committee likes to tell us, right?
They beat ranked Pitt.
Ranked at the time, Pitt is the critical word there.
What an awful team.
That comically makes my point. It makes me smile and feel good and warm and supported all at the same time. You're a very healthy presence tonight.